Jacqueline Velasquez.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Sergio Velasquez. You can go ahead and take a seat.
Thank you.
Can you indicate why and how your interest in PA developed? What have you done to demonstrate your commitment to this profession?
So I didn't always know that I wanted to be a PA, but I did know that I loved science. I knew I loved learning about the human body and anatomy. I didn't get introduced to the profession until a freshman year presentation I went to, where they had the pre-PA club there and PAs that were working in the field come and speak, and I was attracted to every aspect of it. I loved how patient-oriented the field was. I loved the fact that you could start working right away after you graduated, and I loved that you could switch specialties down the line in the future in your career. And so I started attending meetings where they would host PA professionals to come in and speak, and that kind of solidified my desire to want to be in the field. To demonstrate my commitment to the profession, I started volunteering at the Moffitt Cancer Center at my university on campus, and there I volunteered as a clinic support volunteer, where I would transport patients to and from rooms like the exam room and the waiting room, and I would comfort them, talk to them, and support them in whatever they were going through, and uplifted their spirits during difficult times.
Indicate how and why you chose your major. How has this choice benefited you both personally and professionally?
I always did love a good challenge. In high school, my favorite subjects were chemistry, physics, and biology. I struggled to pick which one I would choose for my major, and then I fell upon biology because I felt like it was a combination of the three, and it was also a major that would lead down to a career in healthcare. And so when I got to my freshman year of college, I proved to be right. I loved biology. I loved that a career in healthcare could lead to me connecting with others more than any of the other favorite subjects could. I loved attending lectures and labs, especially in anatomy. I loved learning about the diseases and pathophysiologies of the human body, and I loved sharing that passion with other people and my classmates. I even remember talking to my mom on the phone after class and just explaining to her the renal filtration system on the phone and just being really excited about it. I think.
Can you describe your life in 10 years? What will you be doing? What will your personal life be like? And what will you still be working on?
Ideally, in 10 years, I would like to be an established PA, working in either a hospital or clinic setting, working in whatever specialty I came to love during my rotations and through experience. With the PA profession, you never stop learning, so I would hope to be constantly learning about medicine, reading up on new research, and just constantly expanding my knowledge. By 10 years after graduating PA school, I'll be about 35, 36. Hopefully by then I would have lived in a big city and have traveled. But ultimately I would want to settle down somewhere near my mom so that I can make sure that she's taken care of, and would want to spend as much time with my family as possible.
Describe a time when something negative happened to you, or you went through something difficult, but which in hindsight can be viewed positively. Explain why.
My uncle recently passed away this year. When he was a baby, he had a bacterial meningitis infection that caused him to have severe cognitive disabilities, and he had a seizure disorder later in his life that progressively got worse and led to his passing. He was the light and treasure of my grandma's house and everyone who met him, and I think the hardest and most difficult part of it was witnessing my mom go through the loss of her brother and my grandma the loss of her son. especially because death is one of the most unimaginable things someone could go through as far as the living. I think it's important to keep perspective on it all because of how hard it is, and recognize that nobody can live forever, and that there's a
No, you're so. Describe a time when something negative happened to you, or you went through something difficult, but which in hindsight can be viewed positively. Explain why.
My uncle recently passed away this year. When he was an infant, he had a bacterial meningitis infection that caused him to have a seizure disorder and severe cognitive disabilities that eventually led to his passing. He was the light of my grandma's house, and he was cherished by everyone who knew him. The most difficult part of it all was witnessing my mom go through the loss of her brother and my grandma the loss of her son. Because death is so difficult and so unimaginable to have to deal with, I think it's also important to have perspective on it when you can, because no one can live forever, and I think it's important to also recognize how powerful medicine is and appreciate it for what it is, and how it prolongs something that would have otherwise happened earlier rather than later. And I think the biggest lesson of it all was that I should appreciate my loved ones and the people that I have in my life while they're still around.
Which do you think is a more important quality for a good health professional? To be an independent thinker, or to be a team player?
I think in most circumstances, overall, it's better to be a team player over an independent thinker as a health professional. When you work in a team or as a group, you're able to build off of other people's ideas and use them as a foundation for your own. You're able to divide and conquer your work, can save time. I think it's also really important to use your resources, and people are a great resource to use because no one knows everything. I think it's also important not to dismiss independent thinking. I feel like when you work as a group, you sometimes lose out on the unique ideas you might come up with by somewhat turning off your brain and letting people do the thinking. When you're an independent thinker, you have the chance to be more creative with your ideas.